Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
Hi, it's 5:06 and it's Wednesday. I love a good hump day, especially when the next day is a federal holiday. So this feels like a Friday. Can we say happy Wednesday, Julie?
No.
Patrice has got like an alert, like whenever anything like that is, it's like, hey, I trademarked that.
I know.
You owe me. It's like the guy who says, let's get ready to, that thing you're not allowed to say on the radio. Otherwise you have to, Mm-hmm. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. It's great to be here on O'Connor and Company. Coming up at 7:05, we've got the latest on Sam Britton. That would be the bald-headed transgender nuclear thief from the Biden administration. 7:35, James Rosen, who asked a very good question yesterday in the briefing room, one that we're all asking ourselves, is the president disabled? James will tell you what his answer the answer was that he got. 8:05, Brent Bozell, MRC, Media Research Center. And then at 8:35, Jessica Robertson. She's part of the Duck Dynasty. That whole Duck Dynasty thing. They got a new book out. We're going to talk about that and patriotism and all that stuff, love of country. Hey, Heather Hunter, if you look at our guest line, Carrie Pickett. No. And it's, I think Carrie Pickett just joined a group document. That's fun. Hi, Carrie. Heather Hunter, if you look at the top of our guest lineup, you have a description of a guest, but not the actual guest name. Do we know who that might be?
Here it comes.
Joining us at 6:35, we're going to speak with Cal Thomas.
Of course.
I should have known that. It's Wednesday.
Yeah, how did we
Of
forget?
course. It's always Cal Thomas on Wednesday, although sometimes he travels the world. Yeah. And wasn't that an exciting moment as Heather was typing Cal Thomas's name and we were hanging on every letter and every keystroke from her keyboard?
Oh, we're getting a half smile from Heather. That's
Yeah,
always a
and
good
Heather's like,
sign.
please don't make this about me. Let's move on. All right. Good morning, everyone. It's 5:08. I don't know about you, Julie, but after the show that we do every morning, 4 hours worth, and if any of you miss the later hours, you should subscribe to the podcast so you can catch it all in its glory, and it is rather glorious. At the end of the show, when you're driving home, do you get a little peckish?
Always.
Get a little munchy situation?
Yeah.
Because it's hard to have breakfast at, 3:34 in the morning.
I can't eat.
You can't eat
No,
before
no,
the
no.
show.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to eat during the show. But
Yeah.
and
Although
if
you manage it sometimes.
lately, yes. But it's hard. I'll say this. It's hard to eat healthy because
Right.
you get like, okay, here's your
Right.
3.5 minute window to eat something.
Yeah, this is a protein bar type, environment.
And then when you're done, it's like, oh my God, I've got nothing but coffee, water, and, cannabis in my system.
Stop,
Are we not supposed to talk about that?
Larry.
Well, it's legal now.
Okay.
So we have a WMAL bong that we pass around during the. No,
I'm
I'm kidding. There's no cannabis involved in this program. That's over there on those, music stations. Anyway, could you imagine trying to do what we do with, a little.
Could be fun.
Hey, actually. All right. So.
Okay, my kids are listening. I'm going to stop.
We're
All right.
kidding. We don't do that. We never I haven't touched it since I was.
All right, moving on.
Oh, you get hungry is my point. You leave, you're driving home, and I don't know about you, but nothing satisfies like driving into a fast food joint, going to the drive-thru, and getting a plant-based hamburger. Right? Come on. Who's with me? You got to get that soy patty.
Yes, definitely.
And nuts and grains. And did they ever actually disclose how they make those things that are supposed to taste like hamburgers?
It's a super secret.
The best part of the plant-based burgers, and we're talking about them in past tense because, as predicted, they're going the way of the dodo.
Yeah.
But they never actually told you what was in it, really. Or how they... My favorite thing is that the whole point of the plant-based burger was to give you something that would trick you into thinking you're eating a hamburger.
Yeah.
But you're ordering it at McDonald's. It's like, well, I got an idea. How about you just get a burger?
Well, it is funny that they try so hard to create these things. But look, I'm actually quite sympathetic to this stuff because I think there are some people for ethical reasons who don't want to eat animals.
Well, they're idiots.
But
I have nothing but the utmost respect and admiration for those idiots.
But you're right. You go into the sort of vegetarian section, the frozen food section, and they'll have something like, soy crumbles, which is supposed to look like ground beef. And it's like, stop trying so hard. Get over there and eat your carrot.
I have great respect for vegetarians who eat really good vegetarian meals that taste like vegetables. Not that they're trying to do some sort of,
Exactly.
David
Yes.
Copperfield magic illusion. Look, it looks like beef.
Tofurkey.
It smells like
You
beef.
can make this tofu look just like chicken. No, you can't.
You really
You can't. No.
So McDonald's has now announced that they are pulling the plant-based impossible meat or whatever the heck they call it off of their menus. The McPlant burger, which, by the way, may have been part of the problem.
Yeah.
I'll have a double McPlant.
If you're a vegetarian, it's likely that you're not going to places like McDonald's.
This is what I never understood. Were they appealing to the people who wouldn't go to McDonald's ever in a million years because they're vegetarians, or were they trying to force people who like hamburgers to try something else out of their guilty conscience?
I think this goes beyond that. I think that there is an effort by forces to push this stuff on the American public.
Bill Gates.
And yes, and we see, it's so funny. You always go to the grocery store and the plant-based stuff ends up in the discount bin.
Yeah.
You can see it. They're pushing it, or they'll sometimes do these specials.
Nobody wanted these things.
Or around the holidays, like the 4th or something that's a big cookout, everything will be gone except Beyond Meat, which will be fully stocked.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that stuff. And this is the thing I will also tell you, it's not healthier. It's not as though, okay, I'm going to get plant-based meat and it's lower fat. It's not. It actually has many of the same sort of markers on from a nutrient standpoint. So it's not like you're saving calories or saving fat.
Right.
It's just fake.
It was the entire, again, utmost respect for people who decide that red meat is not good for their diet, it's not healthy or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of clouded science behind that. I think red meat is incredibly healthy for you.
Yes.
But you know what? If you're eating a Big Mac every single day, it's not going to go well for you.
Right.
And that's probably true of anything that you eat every single day, including broccoli. But if people, for all those reasons, that makes sense. Make a balanced diet. But there are people who would love to have a hamburger. They'd love to have a steak, but for political reasons, they won't do it. They think they're saving the planet by not eating a burger.
Right.
I know someone who will eat lamb, who will eat pork, who will eat, they don't care, and it can be as unethically treated as you can imagine. Oh, go ahead and torture the pig. I don't care. I want the bacon. But they won't eat cows because the gas emitted from cows hurts the planet.
How are you friends with this person?
Well, I'm not really a friend. I'm just someone in my life. Anyway, some people, you have no choice. The point is, they kept pushing this on us. And this trend, it was the weirdest thing where, like, all of a sudden, like, someone raised a flag and put the signal out, and every single restaurant in America had this thing on the menu.
Yeah.
As if there was demand for it. And that brings us back to this announcement from McDonald's, because there's a big article in Food and Wine. Here's why McDonald's scrapped its plant-based burger in America. And you read through, 1,000 words to finally get to the bottom line. No one wanted it.
Yeah.
That's why they're taking it. You know why McDonald's put something on the menu? Because people want it. You know why they take it off? Because people don't want it.
But Larry, there really is, you touched on this, there really is a push, and people need to understand every 5 years they review the food standards. You think of this as like the food pyramid. And this is on those nutrition labels on the back of your packaging. The government, that's the U.S. Department of Agriculture, they come up with these food guidelines, and they review that every 5 years. That is controlled by the wackiest environmentalist vegetarians. And there really is a move to remove meat from the American diet. This is why you see these meatless Mondays in school lunches and the military. That's great. Don't feed our military meat.
Right. Why would soldiers and Marines need protein?
But you see, this
and red
is true.
meat.
And there's all these like, oh, you're a total conspiracist. No, the World Economic Forum, they want meat out.
100% a thing.
The UN, they want meat out.
And when every restaurant in America suddenly, at the same time, all puts a thing on their menu, it's not because of market demand.
Right, no.
I promise. And if you don't like meat, guess what? You don't like beef, I should say. There's a lot of different options. Chick-fil-A makes a pretty good non-beef option for you. Hold that thought. There is more to say about this, because this is actually more about the government. And you mentioned the Department of Agriculture, and I have something to say about that too. And more about McDonald's. No longer, if you want your nuts and grains, wood bark, grass, and soy burger, you're going to have to get it yourself.
Later this morning on the Chris Plant Show, your 4th of July barbecue will cost more than ever in history. Another reason to thank Joe Biden. 9 a.m. on WMAL.
You mentioned the Department of Agriculture, and how they revamp these things and the food pyramid and all this stuff, and this is good for you and this is not. And it answers the burning question whenever you're driving on the south side of the mall by the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, and then you look on the other side of the street and it's just giant building after giant building that were built in the 30s during FDR. That's the Department of Agriculture. And I keep saying, it's like, I understand we used to have a huge farm issue in half of the country were farmers, family farms, and all that stuff, Department of Agriculture. What do they do now? Why do we need all these buildings for the Department of Agriculture?
Well, our government has grown to the point where they have a say in just about everything. The Department of Agriculture makes it very difficult to farm in this country. But I want to say it goes beyond the United States. This is worldwide. This is the EU. This is the UN. Remember the story, I think it was last year, when Irish farmers were told they needed to cull 200,000 cattle.
Oh, yeah.
For climate change. It's all connected to climate change. Cattle is considered, and animal farming is considered a scourge for climate change. Farming in general. It is unbelievable when it comes to climate change. No one is smeared more than the American farmer. And you think the American farmer makes money after caring for the earth.
Yeah.
If they mistreat the earth, they won't get a crop. And so they're very careful about that. And there've been incredible innovations in agriculture. Of course, the climate change zealots hate any kind of modernization of agriculture. But farmers have been smeared in this, and again, cattle farmers in particular. So again, this is all connected. It's not a conspiracy. It is all connected
it's very real
to climate change and these world organizations.
Well, this is their way.
the EU
They've
and the
committed to hitting these marks in carbon emissions. And instead of doing very unpopular things to the vast majority of people, like outlawing cars or gas stoves. It's very easy for them to just say, okay, well, we'll take it out on the farmers. And we'll just say, okay, 20% of your cattle need to be killed. That's how we'll hit our marks.
That's
and it's when we were in Ireland last year, we were in a farming region, and you'd walk down the street, and there's just cows.
Hello.
And they're beautiful cows.
Yes, these
and
big
they
horn.
come up and talk to you, and they're beautiful, gorgeous. And our friend, our friend
City boy.
Lindsay Fifield,
Yes.
who is a great conservative voice, and has filled in on the show here in the past, Lindsay. She would always talk to the cows, and she's just such a sweet, earthy person. And she'd go, "Hello, cow." And then as we were leaving, she'd go, "I hope you survive the culling."
And then she twisted her ankle in a field and fell down.
That is true. That happened when she was pregnant. All right, wrapping things up on the McPlant burger. Food and Wine. Although the McPlant seems to have fizzled in the U.S., it's still available in several other countries. It arrived in the U.K. and Ireland in September of 21, and as of this writing, the McPlant is still on the menu. Interestingly, the McPlant is topped with a vegan alternative to cheese.
Oh.
As
Okay.
it's listed a certified vegan option in the United Kingdom.
Have you ever eaten one of these? I have. Have you?
The vegan cheese?
No.
A McPlant burger. I've never touched it. I'm happy to say
I
I've
did.
never even tried these
When it
things.
first came out, I was going to write about it. So I went to a restaurant that served them. Sorry, dude.
No, I was going to say, is it true that they actually put little markings on them to make it look like it came off a grill?
I'm not sure, but I
Okay.
went to a proper burger restaurant, except for this, and I had one. And first of all, there's something so weird because it kind of had a red tinge, and because they designed
got a medium
it.
rare.
No. They design it. There's a certain plant they use that it seems like it's bleeding, which is gross. Okay.
It's like beet juice?
Kind of. I don't know what it is exactly. Anyway, so I got it. It tasted, I'm telling you, it had a meat taste. Okay. It tasted like beef. But you know what it tasted like?
Soylent
First
Green?
of all, I must have brushed my teeth 50 times that day.
Ooh.
I could not get this weird aftertaste out of my mouth. And I brush my teeth a lot anyway, but I must have brushed my teeth 10 times that day.
If you had to describe the taste, what
A
was
bouillon cube. It was like chewing. It was so intensely
like
beefy.
the ramen packet?
It was as
just eating the
if
powder.
it was distilled. Okay, no, it was as if I had chewed on a ramen cube, and I couldn't. And it was like, and this is so gross. I know this is gross. It was like the cube was stuck in my teeth. I'd be going along. I'd be like walking along. All of a sudden, be like, there it is, and I'd have to go brush my teeth. I've never had one since. It took days to go away. So I don't recommend these things.
Yeah, and if you're a vegan, by the way, and that's why you wanted to get the McPlant, just so you know, when the McPlant was available in the U.S., it was topped with American cheese and mayonnaise. And it was cooked on the same grill as other burgers and meat-based products today.
God bless America.
It's 5:23.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:36. Good morning. Good Wednesday to you. Coming up at 6:35, Cal Thomas will be joining us. It's 7:05. Thomas Catenacci. What's his affiliation? Is he Free Beacon? I think he's Free Beacon. We'll find out the latest. Yeah, he is Free Beacon. The latest on that bald-headed transgender nuclear code dress-stealing Biden administration official, because the grown-ups are back in charge. 7:35, James Rosen. 8:05, Brent Bozell. And then at 8:35, Jessica Robertson of Duck Dynasty. Which duck is she married to? Do you know, Jessica? Is she do you remember?
I'm not sure.
One with the beard, I think.
I'm not sure. Sure, that narrows it down.
Thank you.
That's a great lineup.
That's Julie Gunlock. I am Larry O'Connor, and Joe Biden is going the way of Alec Baldwin here. He needs to clean up a major mess. They've kept him cloistered. He did make another appearance yesterday where his brain malfunctioned again, reading a teleprompter at some event 3 blocks away from the White House. That's as far as he can go before there's an emergency of some sort personally. It's a problem, and the walls are closing in. Republicans are pouncing. Democrats are now saying out loud, we need to move on from Joe Biden. So Joe Biden's going to do what every liberal in America does when they're in real trouble and they need a rescue. They get a hard-hitting interview from George Stephanopoulos.
You're going to say they consult with Hunter Biden.
Yeah, well, that too is happening, but we'll get to that a little later. Yeah, no, he's going to give a exclusive interview to George Stephanopoulos, airing Friday, July 5th on World News Tonight, and then the extended interview is Sunday, July 7th.
What a joke.
On this week. But here's the most important thing. The only thing. There's only 2 things you need to know about this interview. Number one, I've already told you. It's George Stephanopoulos.
Yeah, I mean,
he's not a journalist. He's not a reporter. He's
right.
a Democrat operative, always has been, always will be. Everything that he does is to help the cause. Now, I want to say, one of the things George Stephanopoulos might decide to do in consultation with the Clintons and the Obamas and all the other power people in the Democratic Party, the way George Stephanopoulos could help the cause is to destroy Joe Biden on public television.
That's right.
That could be what's going on.
None of
here.
this is George doing what George wants to do or what the media should do.
Or what ABC News and journalism calls for.
Right. This is 100%. He is a tool. He is the worst kind of tool. He will take his marching orders, but it will be fascinating to watch because he is the canary in the coal mine. We will know where the Democrat Party is based on this interview.
Yeah, which leads us to the second thing you need to know about this interview. It's pre-recorded.
Right.
It's pre-taped. So they're going to sit there. They're going to get all this footage, and all the stuff that usually ends up on the cutting room floor when you do an interview with Joe Biden.
Those jumps.
Yeah. Well, Robert Hur saw it live, and that's why Merrick Garland doesn't want to release the tapes of the deposition. They just want the written transcript. Like, what happens with ABC News decides, yeah, okay, we've decided we have this exclusive interview with the president. We're going to put out the written transcript of it. And that's it. You can read it on. I'm kidding. They won't do that. It won't be that bad. But basically, they're going to get all this footage of Joe Biden. And then when the decision is made, okay, are we going to try to save Joe? Or are we trying to put the final nail in the coffin for Joe so we can move on to the next candidate? They'll edit it appropriately. But one thing I guarantee, I shouldn't say I'll guarantee you because they might do it if they want to kill Joe. I was going to say you're never going to see the entire unedited raw footage of this interview.
You will in 20 years.
Well, or unless they decide, okay, it's time to be done with Joe.
Right.
And he won't go willingly, so we're going to force him off by making him look bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but either way, it's a scam.
I think
here's the thing: if the White House really wants to prove Joe Biden's doing well, he should sit for an exclusive interview with Tucker Carlson.
Right. This is my thoughts. I think there's a third option here that they make him look good. They do a lot of editing. They make him look good, but it's designed to give him a really nice off-ramp.
Oh, his exit stage left. Yeah.
That's what
his valediction.
Yes, it's this is best for the country, or maybe they'll start the conversation. It'll ease him into it.
Yeah.
Something getting the country ready for it. Maybe he'll spend time talking about Kamala and her abilities.
Right.
Right. Because that's going to have to be a big sell to the American public. So that's what I think. I think that it's going to be designed to give him a really cushy landing.
You think, but now they could be designed to prop him up. Because by the end of the week, they may decide, listen, as bad as it is and as bad as these polls are,
I know.
He's still our best shot.
Yeah.
And so then they're going to do whatever they can. Like, for instance, they'll let Jill sit with him for the interview.
Yeah, it'd be the whole Hillary Clinton,
That's
Bill
right.
Clinton.
That's right.
Stand by your man kind of thing.
And she'll end up answering a lot of the questions. And through editing, they'll make it look coherent.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options they've got. And they're working the stagecraft
when he was speaking about the hurricane yesterday, I don't know if you noticed it, as he was walking up to the podium. And he had as many verbal stumbles as he's had. Yeah. But as he was walking up to the podium, he did that jogging thing that he does.
Yes.
Did you notice that? And he does this sort of like, he sort of jumps.
He's showing his vigor.
Yes. Yeah. He's trying. He's definitely trying.
Yeah. No, they're putting in a last ditch effort here, but it might be out of their hands. One thing to contextualize all of this, if you're concerned or curious about George Stephanopoulos, let's not forget his last big get was Alec Baldwin.
Oh, yeah.
It was about 2 weeks after the shooting, and things were looking bad for Alec.
Yep.
And Alec Baldwin needed a PR fix. He needed to sort of rehabilitate himself. And so they chose George Stephanopoulos because they knew that it would have the veneer and appearance of a hard-hitting one-on-one interview, but there's no real follow-up question. There's no real challenge. In fact, the questions are all pre-approved, and the answers are scripted. They know what questions are going to be asked. And George Stephanopoulos never asked the real follow-up questions of things that we're learning now in the courtroom about what Alec Baldwin did and knew and lied about.
You know, we are of a certain age that we know exactly who George is. We know exactly who he is.
It's shocking that people don't know.
It is. It is. There's a Twitter account that I follow, and she said that she went to lunch with two non-political people, and she walked away from that lunch going, I can't believe how little these people know. We forget that sometimes, I think, as
George is just the happy Good Morning America dude. He's like my uncle.
But he's a journalist. People don't understand.
Right, or a real journalist.
They really do not understand.
He was Bill Clinton's bag man. He actually, his job in the 90s was to threaten other reporters from telling the truth.
Monica Lewinsky, that like shaped me, right? But there's a lot of people who, well, okay.
Is that why you wear berets all the time? Always wanted to ask you about that.
Shouldn't have said that.
It is 5:44.
Making sense of your world.
Greatly appreciated.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
I love listening to you.
Making sense of the news.
The two other quick observations about this George Stephanopoulos interview, then we'll move on to the Hunter Biden news. Brent Bozell, Media Research Center, will be joining us later in the program to discuss this media strategy. He'll be here at 8:05. And number two, have you noticed something? Have you noticed who you're not hearing from about Joe Biden's deterioration, about the chaos and the complete total cluster situation going on there in the Democratic Party and the Biden campaign?
But who are you thinking of?
Donald Trump.
Oh, I know.
Have you noticed?
Yes.
That, how many times over the last 10 years have we said...
tied him up?
Well,
is there duct tape involved?
How many times have we said, when your opponent is destroying themselves, shut up, go away, don't say, you don't need to say anything.
They've been given the rope.
Don't give them the rope. Let them hang themselves.
Yes.
Don't say anything. And you will then make it about you, and suddenly we'll all look at what you just said instead of looking at and have you noticed how disciplined?
Yes. By the way, I never let my husband hang himself. I'm constantly ruining those moments. Give him the rope. He hangs. I interrupt. I ruin it. Then he gets mad. No, I did notice this, and it is amazing. But I do.
It's one of the reasons why the story keeps going.
I know.
For Joe, and it's not going away.
They're not pivoting. Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right.
We're not pivoting back over to, but look at what Trump just said or what Trump just did. And I don't mean this as a slam on Trump. I'm just observing that I think this is a good thing. This is an improvement because sometimes he was his own worst enemy.
The media is desperate to make this about Donald J. Trump, and he's not letting them. He's not doing it.
This is a good sign, everybody. All right, let's move on to Hunter Biden. Apparently, one of the most influential and important advisors in the Biden White House right now. NBC News has a report that he is now attending meetings with the president and close staff this week. This is after the Biden family meeting at Camp David, where we're told Hunter Biden's advice was the most important that the president took, even more so than his wife. Because when has Hunter Biden's judgment ever led him astray?
Yeah, and one other interesting question, I also saw this on Twitter, was Hunter would not pass the background check in order to attend a meeting. He
actually get a job at the White House.
Right.
Yeah.
He couldn't be an intern at the White House with that criminal background. He doesn't have a clearance. I'm sure of that.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he?
He also just got convicted of a felony.
Yeah, he's not trustworthy. He's dangerous. He has who knows how many sort of scary relationships with foreign entities.
Right.
Dangerous, questionable relationships. What is he doing sitting in these meetings?
Hunter Biden has joined the president in meetings with top aides, closely advising his father and popping into meetings and phone calls with the president, according to a report from NBC News citing multiple White House sources. The White House sources told NBC News that the president's son's sudden presence at meetings has caused confusion for some White House staff, with the reaction being, quote, "What the hell is happening?" unquote. Yeah, you speak for all of us, anonymous White House staffer.
Let's not forget this White House staff who got blamed for the debacle. White House staff.
Yeah.
Jill Biden, the Biden family, the president blamed the staff for the debate debacle. They're hitting back. They're planting these stories now.
Yeah. We're always focused on making sure that our listeners have all the facts and they know the truth about things, even when we get things wrong. And if you've been listening for the last couple of days, there's certainly been a narrative that we have joined in on that Jill Biden is running things. Jill Biden is controlling things. Edith Wilson is often raised, the First Lady of Woodrow Wilson, who literally ran the executive branch of the federal government when Woodrow Wilson had a stroke and was completely incapacitated. And they kept it a secret. And we're like, Jill Biden is Lady Macbeth. Jill Biden is Eva Perón. Jill Biden is
Madame Mao.
Hillary Clinton.
Nurse Ratched.
Yeah, exactly.
Visiting angel.
She's the one who's controlling everyone. She's doing it. And I just want you to know, apparently, that's outrageous. It's a rumor. It's unfounded. Jill Biden is not running the White House. So we've got good news for you. It's Hunter Biden. Hunter's the one who's running things. He's the one who's on top of everything. He's the one who's handling our strategy with Israel and Hamas. He's the one who's going to fix our economy. It's all Hunter, baby.
Feel good?
Yeah, I feel a lot better. It's 5:53.